The princess of Oberlin City scorns the poor, and I'm the biggest thorn in her side. I live in squalor but am specially admitted by a prestigious college meant for the rich. What right does a peasant like you have to study at the same college as me? Nails appear on my seat, and the shampoo in my bathroom is switched to glue. Chantal Gorman even daringly tries to ram me over at the campus entrance, all because I'm a poor young woman from the countryside. To survive, I set my sights on her father, a perfect gentleman. He's a domineering CEO who's never had a shortage of women in his life. It's too bad he has no other children besides Chantal. Chantal thinks I'm a piece of trash who'll get kicked to the curb after a night of pleasure, but she doesn't know how easily the women in my family conceive. I give birth to 7 sons and a daughter for the domineering CEO. How can Chantal possibly go up against me and my 8 children? Chapter 1. I'm surprised you showed up. You disgust me, you stinky pauper. Chantal Gorman pinched her nose with distaste as she stared at me in her extravagant evening dress. Chantal, a young lady from a distinguished family in Oberlin City, had invited me to her birthday party, yet she openly shamed me in front of the other ladies at the event. A familiar evil smirk appeared on her face. How about I give you a shower? In the next second, she kicked me and sent me plunging into the swimming pool. To dress up nicely for her birthday party, I had spent all my savings, a measly $300, on a white dress. I scrambled back to the poolside, looking disheveled. My white dress, now translucent from the dampness, clung tightly to my body like kelp. The moisture felt uncomfortable. Her piercing gaze swept past my drenched body. Snickering, she taunted, "You're just a loose woman who sleeps with any Tom, Dick, and Harry. Do you enjoy exposing your granny lingerie to everyone?" With arms crossed on my chest, I frantically escaped from the scene without looking where I was headed. Laughter exploded behind me. Unfortunately, I ran around like a lost puppy, as I wasn't familiar with the layout of the massive villa. The sky darkened. I finally came to a halt when I bumped into someone's solid chest. My nose was immediately filled with a woody scent. Clutching my reddened nose, I whispered an apology. I am sorry. I heard a soft chuckle from atop. The man spoke in a beguiling voice. "Hi, kitty cat. Where are you from?" I looked up when I heard his attractive voice, and I momentarily lost myself in the beauty of his chiseled features that looked even more perfect under the moonlight. The man checked me out as well. The thin fabric could barely hide my hourglass figure under the moonlight. I appeared vulnerable, with my mouth gaping slightly from the shock. His eyes clouded over. Then, he scooped me up by my waist. He rasped, "Oh, and you're a seductive little kitty at that." Without hesitation, he kissed me on the lips, so fervently and passionately that I subjected myself to his loving. He smelled of sandalwood. Suddenly, I felt myself lifted off the ground. He had picked me up by the waist. I let out a tiny gasp and stared at him pitifully like a deer in headlights. He cheered up at my innocence. Smiling, he said, "Kitty cat, don't worry. I'll make you happy." I buried my head shyly in his chest, but deep within, I was smirking gleefully. Of course I wasn't afraid of him. Our encounter today was thanks to my careful planning, after all. I was a poor girl from the countryside who was scouted by an elite school due to my excellent grades. They offered me a full-ride scholarship and a generous stipend. I went off to college with high hopes, only to be mocked by Chantal on the first day of school. I recalled Chantal staring at the patches on my shirt, taunting, "Wow, they really admit anyone now, don't they?" It was because of that statement that my world plunged into darkness. At college, I was ostracized, locked in the bathroom, had nails placed on my seat, and had filthy water splashed on me. Chantal and I might be college mates, but we couldn't be more different in our social status. I thought she'd spare me if I kept my silence, but she grew so emboldened that she challenged the rules. This was a woman who drove a sports car into me just because it was fun. After that incident, she strutted to me in her high heels and threw a wad of cash onto me. "You ran into my car just for the compensation, didn't you? Here, just take it." I recovered only after a 3-month hospital stay. However, Chantal had burned the skin of my thigh with a cigarette butt, simply because the president of the student union, Kyle Lamont, came to visit me at the hospital. "Don't you know I had my eyes on Kyle first? How dare you seduce him?" I thought she would drive her car into me and murder me for good this time, but to my surprise, she extended me a birthday party invitation. I stared at the invitation card in my hand, knowing this was my chance. I had to teach Chantal a lesson tonight, or she'd continue giving me trouble in the future. With that in mind, I clung to the man's neck and rasped, "Be gentle. It's my first time." Chapter 2. The next day, Chantal was stunned at the sight that greeted her when she entered her dad's bedroom. She found my petite, nude frame in his bed. I was deep asleep in his arm at that time. Enraged, she lunged at me and attempted to yank me out of the bed. She insulted me, "You cheap whore. You just can't stop yourself from sleeping with just anyone, can you? How dare you sleep with my dad? Go to hell." I did not fight back, only looking at her with puppy eyes before pulling my gaze away and shutting my eyes. My trembling shoulders, though, hinted at my fear. "All right, Chantal, stop it." A satisfied Andrew Gorman propped his head in his hand and lounged on the bed, lazily watching us. "Dad, how dare she seduce you?" Chantal stopped what she was doing, but she continued grumbling and acting cute. Andrew glanced at me. I was silently crying, head hanging low. He assured Chantal, "She's just another woman. I have to take care of my needs after your mom passed away." But, "All right, you're an adult now, so stop making a scene. Get out." Chantal shot a piercing look at me before reluctantly releasing me. Dad, for years, I never minded you dating, but what right does that woman have to stay the night? She shouldn't be sleeping in your bed. Her anger flared up as she spoke, but she was oblivious to her own behavior. Her voice even took on a demanding, interrogative tone in the end. Andrew's face fell, and he kicked her out. Get out. Andrew had carried me to the dining table for breakfast that morning. Chantel's eyes popped out in shock when she saw us. I smirked quietly. This was part of my deliberate planning. Just now, I lay on the floor after Chantel had left. I remained there until Andrew asked about me. Then, I bashfully explained that he made me weak in the legs from all the pounding last night. His mood improved greatly upon hearing that remark, which was the highest compliment from any woman.